Okay, hi there class. This is the tutorial for Thursday, February 11th. I'm going to start off with the floor plate that I finished with for Tuesday's tutorials, where I've just laid out some walls just using a generic wall type, and I've tagged them and added on a color scheme here. So just to build on this a little bit, we'll start looking at how you might add some detail into this, and then start discussing curtain walls, which are going to be really crucial components of your tower, especially obviously because your tower is going to have some kind of really compelling and beautifully detailed curtain wall system. You're going to want to get a handle on these and how to use them in Revit. And we're going to build upon this over the next couple of weeks, but start simple today. So first thing I want to address is I didn't put any bathrooms on this first floor. That's probably a problem. I'm definitely going to need one here in the retail space. So I'm just going to make a few little additions here just to point out a couple of things that'll occur. So you can see, for one, when I draw a wall inside the storage space inside of the retail to call out a little bathroom space, that immediately kind of changes the color scheme. This room is no longer tagged, so it doesn't have the definitions that I might want. So if I wanted to add in that tag, I'd come back to architecture and put a room tag in there. And then here you can see I'm actually drawing over the top of my elevation drawing, and I want to probably just move that out of the way. I can get a hold of it here. There we go. So adding in this room tag, I need to associate it with both a department and a room type. So new room name called bathroom, and department will still be part of the retail. And you can see that adds it back into the color scheme for the retail. If I change the color scheme back to names, you'll see now I get different definitions in the color for each of those different programmatic pieces. I need to put a new door in here to get into the storage room from the retail space. So now what I want to do is just explain a little bit about adding some detail in, and I want you to be really careful with this stuff. It's not necessarily always the most useful thing to start adding in. If you go to the Systems tab, you'll see that here's where you can add in fixtures and start to add in some mechanical equipment. You're not going to get to this point until much later, but you are going to want to be conscientious of, say, plumbing fixtures, toilets, and so forth. So when I click the plumbing fixture tab, you can see by default none of these are loaded. If I hit yes, it's going to take me out to my families. I'm going to dig into the US Imperial here and come down to plumbing, architectural, and equipment. Equipment's just going to include like water heaters, fixtures, and here I can go to, say, water closets and pull up a commercial toilet. In this case, a 3D one. By default, you can see it won't let me put it in the middle of the space. It needs to be hung off of a wall, so I'll put it here in the corner. Maybe go back and do a sink as well. So I can go back to modify and say load family again, and this time digging into US Imperial inside the libraries and going to plumbing again, digging all the way back down here, fixtures, and this time sinks. And let's just do a sink single. Let's just do this kind of simple one here that's attached to a wall. And you can place that in. So you could go ahead and do that with, bathtubs, whatever. Obviously in a commercial setting like this, it's just going to typically be a sink and a toilet, but it starts to give you a sense of the space that you've got here. By code in the bathroom, you need to be conscientious of the accessibility and ensuring that you've got a 5-foot turnaround space in here. So you might want to come into the Modify tab also and just make sure that you've got plenty of room inside of the bathroom there for someone to turn around. I wanted to address that, adding in sort of bathrooms and making sure that they're the right sizes. This one's plenty big for what I've got. Okay, now what I want to address is looking at curtain walls. So if I'm gonna go in here to the wall types under architecture, and way down at the bottom is where you'll find the curtain wall type. And I'm just going to go ahead and select this, and I'm going to draw myself a 30-foot long, or let's call it 32.6 is fine, something relatively long. And I'm just drawing it out in space here so that we can see what we're getting. And by default, really, it's just a 1-inch thick piece of glass. There's no definition to it or anything. It's more of a kind of system that's built into Revit here that requires a few different components. So to edit this, we're going to want to go ahead and draw a custom elevation. So here under the View tab, I'm going to I'm going to hit the Elevation button and draw a custom elevation here that's looking. The arrow is pointing right at the wall. And if I scroll down in my project browser now, you can see I've got Elevation 1A. That will show me that wall. And again, it's just a dumb 20-foot wall. It's going from level 1 up to level 2, which should still be 20 feet, and it's just a piece of glass. But here under the Architecture tab is where we can start giving some definition to this. So here's the curtain grid panel. This is where you go in to lay in what will eventually become your mullion system. So hit the curtain grid, and you can see by default, as I kind of start mousing across this, it's going to snap to an edge and assume that these mullions are always going to be parallel to either the ground or to the edge. And I'm going to come in and just kind of roughly place these sort of at 4 to 5 foot intervals, going across horizontally. I'll put one more in there that way. I'm going to come back and use my dimensions. And this one I'll go up to, let's put it at 6'8", and then from there roughly 4 foot intervals going above. Now what I can do is come back in with my dimension tools and adjust all of this. So I'm going to come across this direction and hit the Equal tab to actually space those out equally. And you notice that I've left this lower one at 6'8" because in all likelihood we'd use that as a door. And then going horizontally across, I'm just going to get a series of dimension lines. I missed one there. Linking each of these grid lines all the way to the end. Pull that up, and again hit the Equal button to get them all spaced out equally across the grid. Once I've got this set, you know what, I actually probably want to go ahead and add another one in. So here at the base, so just to look at how we might do that, let's split it evenly there, and then we might go ahead and edit that later on to add in a door. So you can see this is a really tall wall. Probably wouldn't make a single curtain wall system quite that tall. You might in some instances. Anyway, but it just will serve us as a good example. So back under architecture, now we're going to add in the mullion system. Once we've added in the grid, so I'll hit mullion, and you can see by default here it comes up with a 2.5 inch by 5 inch rectangular, and I can, as always, kind of come in, edit type, duplicate the type, and say adjust this to be let's do a 2.5 inch by 8 inch mullion. Again, this is just the name, it's not actually changing anything in the mullion itself. I actually need to come in here to the parameter and change it to be 8 inches. And you can see the width on side 1 and side 2 are each based on that original 2.5 inches, 1 1/4 in each direction. So I can hit OK once I've adjusted this. You can adjust it this way if it's just a square profile, or you can even bring in your own profile. So now I can basically select the curtain wall and hit the mullion button, and it will bring up this in the green tab here. I can do it line by line, or I can select this to say all grid lines, and it'll literally lay the grid out across the entirety of the wall. So let's look at this in 3D, and you can see here what this starts to look like. And if I turn it over to shaded, you can see the glass is in there. It's got all of the kind of detailing that you would expect to find. And if I change the level of detail over to fine, if you weren't seeing some of those pieces, that's the way to get that up. When I come in, there's lots of different pieces here that I've created quickly. And just a few things to use as adjustments. There's a little hashtag symbol here when I select just one of the mullions. And if I click that once, you can see what it does is it changes it over so that the dominant line is going horizontally instead of vertically. In all likelihood, you'd actually want to keep it the other way. And there's a hashtag on each end, so you can kind of define it one way or the other. Typically, these verticals are going to be the ones that go all the way through. So now if I want to put a door into this system, what I'm going to need to do is come in here and start to edit the thing. So there's a couple of different ways to do that. If I go back to the elevation drawing, be the easiest place to start. And I can start tabbing through here, and if I select part of the grid, not the mullion system, you can see I can actually hit add remove segments. And if I click the segment in here, you can see it gives me an error. The mullions between the panels being joined will be deleted, and that's okay. I want to delete that element. I can also delete an element simply by selecting the mullion and hitting delete, and that's going to leave it open. Although you can see the grid is still there, so I do need to delete that as well, or else it's still seeing it as part of the panel. So my goal here is to get a door-shaped panel that's left over, and again, as I start tabbing through, I can find the panel here that's actually, I would want to convert it into a door panel inside of the curtain wall system. So once I've got that selected, here under the properties where it says System Panel Glazed, I can scroll down, and what I can find is that I can actually load in a family that'll allow me to actually convert that panel into a door. So in order to do that, we'll do it with our conventionally inserting and load family, and we need to go find a curtain panel door, which is going to be a different kind of piece. So going into libraries once again. Okay, sorry, stuff crashed there. So back where I was here, I'm gonna head into the insert tab and load up that curtain family door I was trying to get to when things crashed last. So U.S. Imperial and indoors, you'll find here that there's a door called curtain wall single glass, and this is just going to be a glass panel that operates just like one of the panels inside of the system, except as a door. So once you've got that loaded, again, you can kind of come in here and start tabbing through until you've got the panel that you want to switch over from being just a piece of glass to being a door. And here where the system panel property is defined, scroll all the way down to the bottom and you'll find a door definition. You can see by default it just shows me the door swing. If I come back up to level 1 here, you'll see though it's actually put that door in the frame for the system. And I'll switch this over so you can kind of see a little bit better the detail that's in that system. So what I want to do now is actually use this kind of curtain wall system to change out the walls around the retail space, because obviously you wouldn't want to walk into the building and find this retail space defined by 20-foot tall, opaque, 8-inch thick walls. So we're going to go in and kind of edit this retail space and make a curtain wall system that goes all the way around the 4 sides here. We'll leave the storage and bathroom as an opaque system, but kind of go from there to define that curtain wall system. So to start this off, what I think I want to do is just select one of these walls, say this one, let's start easy, and come in and define it, flip it over from being an 8-inch generic wall to being a curtain wall, and you can see by default it just changes into that glass piece. And with each of these I'll need to kind of come in and make a new elevation drawing that I can use to look at that panel and actually start defining the grid. So here I can select that grid panel in the elevation, and back under architecture I can come in with the curtain system. And really I'm going to keep these at around 3 foot by 6 foot. So I'll keep this at 6 and 6, and then come across. Let's do them on 4s. So I can either do it as a series of clicking through, sort of looking at each of the widths as I go, or I can kind of do it relatively sloppily and then come back under my Modify tab and use the Measure tool to come back and make them all equal. Looks like I missed one there. That over, snap to there, and then hit the let's try that again. Just important to kind of, make sure you're getting the grid line highlighted as you move across these. The appropriate one. I was getting the wall selected that was in the background there. And I'm going to leave these because I'm going to convert. Well, no, actually, those are on this wall. I probably don't need any doorways. So I will come back in and do one more grid line this way. And then use the Measure tool to space them out correctly. The equals, so they're all 5 foot tall. Now, so that one's relatively easy. We can come back and do the mullions again. And just to reinforce that, I'll show how we edited that mullion. This time I'll come in, hit duplicate. I think I'll switch these over so they're 3 inches by 8 inches. Again, I'm only changing the name there when I duplicate it. Now I need to change the actual dimensions. So the thickness is 8 inches. Since I switched it to a 3-inch thick mullion, it's going to be 1.5 inches in each direction. I can hit the preview tab here, and well, it doesn't really show that much with the mullion system. And again, under the Modify placing the mullions, I can either do it piece by piece, or I can hit the entire grid all at once and insert that in. We can come back out in 3D and take a look at what we did. So now we'll come across here and do this smaller kind of entrance wall, but this time we'll need to do 2 different doors. And this is where we're going to want to come back and adjust that mullion line. So let's go back so that mullion line lines up with the height of the doors there. So I'm going to take this and turn the equals off and select. I'm going to tab until I get that grid line and call this 6 foot 8 inches to get those that dimension defined correctly. And then let's do this one and even it out. So 3, 4, and 5 foot would be 8 foot 4. So let's do 4 foot 2 inches to get those two spaced evenly in the middle of my grid. And I'm doing that just because then I'm going to come across with the 6 foot 8 door opening in this next one. And if that mullion line isn't lined up, then it's going to look kind of funny. So here back in level 1, now looking at it in plan, you can select this wall, again changing up the wall type to a curtain wall system. The doors can't be nested, the typical doors need a wall, so they're going to be automatically deleted. And again under view here, I'm going to create a new elevation. You can see how it automatically kind of infers that I'm wanting to snap the view parallel to that that elevation there. I need to let the okay, so I've got this elevation placed. I can pop back down here to elevation 3 and see this square kind of profile. Gonna just go through the same system. So coming in with the grid, I'm gonna snap it to. I can see these pieces coming through the other direction, and then let's just do some approximately 4-foot ones there. So I'm going to leave the horizontals as they are, and again use an equal setup to set the verticals, and then just continuing with the same process, the mullion, the 3x8 grid, all grid lines, select the whole grid to define it, and I'm set. Looking at it in 3D here, you can see now I've started to open up that retail space, define it. Now we're going to want to go ahead and define a couple of these doors. And again, I got to go back and kind of remove these mullion elements at the ground. And then I'm going to tab through as I'm looking at this piece to select one of the panels. And I'm just going to replace the panel. So again, it's a weird spot to kind of come find this single glass pane. And you need to obviously bring it in from the family in order to be able to place it. And I'm going to do another one here. Select that one, and come down and select the glass. If I go back to level 1, I can verify that the doors are not opening the correct direction. So we'll get them swung around here. I'm just hitting the space bar to rotate them around to each of the different directions. So now for this wall type, or for this wall here, there's a couple of different things. So now with this wall type, I want to leave this as a opaque wall, but change the this side moving along this edge into a curtain wall. So I can use the split element tool up here under the modify tab, and I'm just going to try to snap to the corner there as best I can to split this. And now I should be able to select just the front piece here, and again convert it over to a curtain wall system, and then grab the curtain wall and do everything else the same way. So now I can go back to the curtain grid. Need to make myself an elevation view. So what I'd like for you to do is just go ahead and finish this up, doing the same process. Taking a retail space and turning it into a glazed system, and that's it.